Well, welcome to another edition of Widow Wisdom and Wealth. My name is Donna Jean Kendrick, and I am your host today. At Widow Wisdom and Wealth, we are really focusing on the ability for widows and widowers who are managing career as well as raising kids to thrive in life after loss. And Shelly Malley is going to be our guest today, and she was recently recognized by Influence Digest as one of the top coaches in Philadelphia in 2023. She has a career in career coaching, as well as a lot of HR credentials from her former career. And she's been coaching for the last 9 years. With her coaching services, so many people have found ways to pivot their career while still staying employed. And she has a soft side to her, which really allows you to understand the value of being a parent, the value of shared experiences, as well as being able to live with intention and earn money, good money, in a career that fulfills you. She can help with job search strategy, personal brand development, resume and cover letters, interview practice, and those big things of job offers and salary negotiation, which for many of us, we haven't had to do for years. We might have been in the same career, and then with the loss of a spouse, we just had to pivot. I hope you really enjoy her story. There's a human side to our Shelley that I think comes straight through, as well as some of the tips she has for those of us thinking about maybe pivoting our career while balancing support of our family financially and emotionally. Enjoy the listen. Well, welcome everybody to another edition of Widow Wisdom and Wealth, where we help have conversations with people that have either been through widowhood and balance recreating their careers as well as raising their kids, or maybe some of these professionals that we know have the heart-centered businesses that can help us all do that. I am very excited to introduce you guys all to Shelly Malley. She is the owner and founder of Dream Catcher Career Coaching. She's going to share a little bit of her story with us, as well as how she can envision helping us, our widows and widowers, kind of recreate their life should they need to during a time of transition. How are you today, Shelley?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for agreeing to be here. I think it's really going to be a nice twist on a little bit of experience personally, as well as what you do and how you can help our listeners. So let's just start a little bit because we always say we always we always lean into the people that we know. So tell us a little bit about where you are today, who you are, kids, pets, I don't care. Go for it. And then we'll back
Okay.
up from your story. We'll call it your story of origin. So share
Okay.
with us.
Alrighty. So I'm located here in Pennsylvania, and I have been a career coach for about 12 years. And prior to that, I was an HR director in healthcare. So I have lots of experience with hiring, and I myself personally have had 5 careers in 3 different industries, and I always navigated those transitions instinctively, but most people have a hard time with those transitions. So Um, I enjoy helping other people that feel like they're stuck in the muck. And, personally for me, I'm married. I have a 20-year-old daughter. She'll be 21 in a couple months.
Oh,
And my husband is an IT director with a local organization. He's been there about 10 years. We have 1 dog, 4 cats, and nobody gets along.
excellent. I love that mix. We come from a more dogs, one cat. And I'm telling you, she rules. I don't know how she does it, but she
Yeah.
rules. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're hoping that the cats teach the dog a couple lessons with a couple couple claws.
love it. Love it. They'll get there. So tell us a little bit about all the career transitions. Maybe highlight one of the biggest ones for you or one of the ones that was the most drastic pivot for you. Maybe the why and how. I love that you said I lean in. I do it a little bit through instinct from authenticity. Tell us
Mhm.
about that.
So my first career, I was a hotel assistant manager, and then I was promoted to GM position. And I did that for 15 years. I was with an organization for a long period of time. I did a little bit of everything. And I was getting married. I knew we were hoping to have a family. And so I wanted to transition to a career where I could hopefully be around a little bit more. I was also commuting an hour, a little more than an hour each way,
Mm,
5 days a week. So just planning ahead, I thought, what do I really enjoy doing? of the management that I've done in the past 15 years, and it was always the human resources stuff. So while I was still with the hotel company, I went ahead and got an HR certificate. And at some point, I had an opportunity to interview for an director position in healthcare, got the position. Um, Big transition, a lot more responsibility, I would say, and still had a lot to learn. There's a lot of state, federal, local regulations with employment. So that was a really big transition, but committed to joining the Society of Human Resource Managers, taking ongoing classes and workshops, and attending every possible event that I could to learn more. Bought lots of HR books. And so that was a really big transition for me because it was a lot of very different responsibility as an HR director. From there, after being there for 10 years, got burned out and decided I think I want to be a career coach. So I actually knew someone whose wife was a career coach, and I asked him if he thought she would be willing to have a conversation about her career and what does she like about it, what does she not enjoy about it, and all that stuff. So we actually went out to dinner one night. I had a whole tablet full of questions to ask her, and she really explained all the highs and lows of what she was doing. And I left that meeting and thought that is definitely what I want to be doing next. So um, it was, n- I can't say it was a huge transition because career coaches ideally have that management and HR background. So that felt like a really comfortable move for me. And I'm really glad that I made the switch.
Oh, I love that. And that actually led you to entrepreneurship on top of that. And that was a brand new experience for you, correct?
Right. Yes. I
Yeah.
worked as a career coach in higher education. And while I was there, I was getting my coaching credential from the National Career Development Association. And um, about 8 years into working in higher education as a career coach, I decided that I wanted to launch my own practice. And it was something that I actually had planned in the back of my mind from the day I graduated from college. I said to myself, I will be a business owner someday, which I don't know where that came from because back then I certainly didn't have the confidence to do it, but I just knew. And the opportunity presented itself, and I just ran full force right into it and created Dreamcatcher Career Coaching.
I love that because so many of our listeners really are looking for this pivot moment, right? So during this long career between HR and then career coaching, you have your daughter who's going to be 21 soon. Tell us about
Yes.
how you kind of juggled that with the work, the hours, the intense training and education it sounds like you had to have, as well as how'd that feel in your stomach to pivot careers while you still have a young child at home?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. My husband was super supportive along the way, and he ended up doing a lot of the dropping off at daycare, picking up from daycare. It just so happened that he was working at a hospital that had a daycare like pretty much next door. So it was very convenient for him, whereas my job was 30 minutes away. So he did the bulk of the pick up and drop off types of responsibility. Um, in HR, I ended up working long hours.
Yeah.
So that was challenging for having a young child. And I really felt like I missed out on a lot of her younger years from the time she was 1 when she started daycare to the time when she turned 8 is when I had finally pretty much burned out on HR
Mhm.
and had a lot of mom guilt. So I decided it's time to figure out my next move. So it wasn't easy.
Yeah,
Um,
that does take a big deep breath and really understanding, I can say for myself, like very much raised to work hard and that's
right.
how you get away. And what do I always remember? Like my dad showed us he cared because he had 3 jobs. And that's how he was
Wow.
bringing in all of the income. So that was just the message that was sent to me. When you work hard, that means that you love them, right? But
Yeah.
for little 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, and 8-year-olds at home, they don't understand that, right? They just
Yeah.
know that you're
Yeah.
missing. So,
Right.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
I
I can
get
never
it.
get that time back, and it's really sad. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So let's pivot to that, right? Because I'm just talking about what did I see when I was little, growing up and having parents working. Your story, this is why you're here on the podcast. Can you share it for our listeners if you don't mind?
Sure. When I was 8 years old and my brothers were 6 and 5, our mother passed away. She was 37 years old. My dad, she was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was then tasked with raising the three of us, which we were pretty young.
Yeah,
And then my 12-year-old, my sister had just turned 13 right before my mother passed away. So she became like instant mom at
yeah,
13. My dad was a chemist. He had a really successful career and he had a lot of responsibility, and then on top of it all, he had these four kids that he had to raise by himself. So, with the help of my sister, my grandparents who lived basically on the same piece of property where we were, they were helpful. I had a maternal aunt who was helpful, but it was challenging. My dad was doing all the running around. We all played a sport, so he's coming home from work at 5 o'clock. We're racing out the door to get to either my softball game or the boys' baseball games, and alternating years they were on two different teams.
mm,
So he was really excited when my sister turned 16 and she could drive, and then when I subsequently turned 16 and I could drive and help take some of that burden off of him. But it wasn't easy for him, that's for sure. Um, he wasn't he didn't have the problem of not being able to afford the situation. Um, because my mother had been a stay-at-home parent, but I mean, he did still have to hire somebody to watch us, the three younger kids.
sure.
Um, but there were Social Security benefits and things like that in place, so that I'm sure that helped him a lot.
Yeah. Now, did he stay in that same career the entire time from 8 until you're 16 and driving? He was still staying in that chemist position. He
Yeah,
never moved.
yeah, he was with the same company for probably 25 years, and then I think when I was in high school, that position ended, and he was able to find another position in the same area. So we were lucky that way. We didn't have to move, which would have been even more trauma on top of everything else.
Yeah, no, there's so many different moving parts when you're the kids, and you at that point in time at a young age, many of it is just you're just accepting that this is just where it is,
Right.
and looking to those
Yeah.
adults in the situation to kind of lead you through that. Do you
Yeah.
remember any times with your dad either negotiating with your older sister who stepped into that parenting role at a very young age, or even with your grandparents? Do you remember any of those times that might have been difficult for him to navigate, or any tips from the younger vantage point of like, hey, adults, we're watching you. This is what you should be doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was traumatic. He was traumatized by the whole thing as well as a parent, and as a spouse. The hardest thing for my dad was accepting that we were growing up and we were going to be leaving at some point. And he was
Mhm.
really hard on my sister, the 13-year-old, because she was providing so much support at home.
Yeah,
And, when she graduated from high school, she wanted to go away to college, and he was not in favor of that. He wanted her to stay at home and, go to college, but still be available to help with us. And my
yeah.
sister was having none of it. So that caused some turmoil in their relationship. And, it was certainly not an easy time for her.
Mhm.
And my dad was not very expressive and not good at explaining and talking rationally. So it was just a lot of yelling and frustration. So unfortunately, that was, pretty complicated situation. And then when it was my turn to leave for college, he
Were you
was
next
telling,
in
here,
line?
what's that?
Were you next in line after your
I was
sister?
next in line.
Okay.
Yeah. I was 5.5 years younger than my sister.
Okay.
So when it was time for me to leave, because when she left, then I took over the cooking, the laundry, and all the stuff. And when it was my turn to look at colleges, he told me that I was not leaving. I was going to live at home and go to school locally. And I was not the type to challenge my dad.
Hmm.
But my sister stepped in and said, you need to let her do this. So fortunately, she was on my side.
Yeah. And did you go away then?
I did.
Where'd you go? We like hearing these stories.
I went to Penn State University, which was 3 hours away from where I grew up.
Got it. You
So,
know I'm a Penn Stater too. So I
yeah.
led you here. Everyone, we love Penn State. We are
Yes, we
Penn
do. We
State.
are Penn State.
Yeah, we've got two headed there now. So we're keeping the lineage going. So
Yes, and my daughter is going to be a senior there too.
love it. We love it. Blue and white. Oh, can you see it? So
Yep. I had a blue and white wedding. I mean, I had to stick with it, you know?
it's a thing. Listeners who aren't from Penn State or Pennsylvania, you'll figure it out. Like
Right.
it goes in your blood deep.
It does.
Yeah. So then you have two younger brothers that are still at home, right? What did the path look like for them?
So they had it a lot easier, obviously, because my dad had already been through it twice. Um, my brother that was 2 years younger than me, he did go away to Penn State as well.
Okay.
And then the youngest brother was 11 months younger than him. He chose to go to a local campus of Penn State. So he was
Okay.
still in the house, and he and my dad had a really close bond. And then his final 2 years, he did go to the main campus in State College to finish out his degree. Um, so it it was hard for them in a different way, I think, because we were the females and we were intended to be the caretakers and everything. I think it was a very different experience for me and my sister than it was for my two brothers.
Yeah, and that's reasonable between age differences as well as roles, as well as too, like you said, like your dad had already had three kids going away to college, and here comes the fourth with a
Yeah,
different relationship that the two of them have.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
as you know, like I have three natural born kids, and everyone even says, like, I'll squish like my natural born youngest has the easiest ride
yeah.
because he witnessed one, me going through the other two. I learned and moved, but that kid took great notes. He was like,
Mhm.
note to self, saw what happened to older brother Connor. Don't try that. Right. Like, so there was a smoother ride, let's just
Yeah,
say.
yeah. Well, and the baby tends to get away with a little more than the other
Yeah.
people in the family.
That's what his older siblings would say.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
tried to rationalize
Definitely
it
the
some
case in
way.
our family.
I understand. Now, do you mind me asking, did your dad ever remarry, ever date? How did that work?
He never remarried. He did have a girlfriend a few years after my mom passed. She was a lot younger. That caused a lot of drama in the dynamic between my dad and my sister. And they were together for about 2 years, and then
Okay.
it just didn't work out. So, and that was again another painful loss because we were very attached to her,
Yeah.
and I think she was attached to us. So there was definitely a lot of turmoil and transition with that situation as well.
Yeah. So now, how do you think that whole experience impacted you as an adult for the way you parent, for the way you changed your careers, took some risk, followed intuition? Can you lean into that for us?
So I just have a different perspective on parenthood. Well, first of all, we're very fortunate that our child is very easygoing. She's never been one to, resist guidance or anything like that or rebel in any way. Um, but I like to try to make it fun because she is an easy kid. I'm always kidding around with her, just trying to have fun with it. My dad was much more strict, stern, this is the way it is. And this kid has just made it super easy for us.
To
So it's been
enjoy.
really enjoyable. It's been a great
Yeah.
experience. Um, so I mean, I just can't even compare my parenting to my dad's. It's just generationally we're so different and just different personalities, all the
Yeah.
way around. I'm much more easygoing and it takes a lot to get me riled up. But my dad, it was just a snap of a finger and he was already up here.
Yeah. He
So,
started at 10, right? Like,
yeah, he started at 10 and went up to 100 in 1 second.
yeah. Yeah. I get that. I get it. Thank you for just being very genuine. And you can tell a very nice story, right? Where it's understood um, where people are, where they're positioned, where they need to go, and a lot of just the pure understanding of this is life and this
Mhm.
is where we are and how to pivot.
Yeah.
Do you often see people making full career changes in life after some type of traumatic event or some type of transition, whether it be divorce, widowhood, or maybe a relocation? Or do you find that it's just a certain stage that someone's like, I am burnout, something different? Where in your experience as a business coach do you see that?
I find that most people do the career pivot when they're just burned out.
Yeah.
Burnout is just insidious, and people just can't envision staying where they are any longer. So most of it happens for that reason. I don't see too much where people are transitioning careers due to a loss
Yeah.
so much. It's just mostly that burnout.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes it's those people that need to get into the workforce after not being in the workforce. They were the stay-at-home parent, or maybe they lost a spouse, or they've suddenly divorced a spouse, and now they're, faced with this decision. How am I going to support myself and my children? So that's where most of the coaching comes in place to help people kind of figure out, because when you're a stay-at-home parent, you really lose a lot of your own self-identity.
Mhm.
And we really have to do the digging in to determine what are your strengths, your values, your interests, um, and try to from there help do that career exploration piece that so many people never had the opportunity to do because they were the stay-at-home parent. So,
Yeah. And sometimes too, the need for income reduces that, I would say, the length of time we give ourselves to go ahead and make this career change. And that
right.
often I have found that people will settle with something just different instead
Mhm.
of really going all in to find that complete shift that they're looking for because they are
Right.
worried about the income. But when
Yeah.
we find during like recent divorces or some of our clients, like you've mentioned, your dad had some Social Security lean on, even though it might be very hard to try to say, I'm going to change this career because this traumatic event just happened or this life shifted, it might actually be one of the best times because you do have that other source of income of maybe alimony or Social Security for a limited amount of time. I know
Right.
myself when
Right.
I switched careers to become a financial planner, I had a 2 year timeline because that's
Mhm.
when we would start losing Social Security with my kids aging out. So I knew I
Right.
had to make X amount of money by X date to be able to stay afloat at this status quo.
Right.
Do you find that for a lot of your clients, or are you that's part of your coaching is trying to keep them into doing that full shift instead of just shifting out to just make an income? Make sense?
Yeah, and everybody's circumstances are different. Some people desperately need a paycheck, even if
Hmm.
it's, $10 an hour.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's the first thing we need to focus on, is just getting them into something.
Hmm.
Now, in their off hours, of course, we're spending that time exploring what their options are, who they are at their core, so that we can find something that really is more fulfilling for them, and something that they won't want to pivot from, a year or 5 years from now. So, yeah, I think it's just a combination of doing what's best for you, but not necessarily. It's not great to make big decisions in that immediate year after a loss or a divorce or something. So sometimes that is a really good time to really dig in and learn more about yourself and figure out what would be your next best step.
Yeah, I love that you said that you don't have to just stop working where you are and go to career coaching. You can be staying where you are. You can be
Mhm.
exploring it while going through all of these processes to identify what works best with you. I used
Right,
to always
exactly.
joke about one of my loved ones that, they would never break up with somebody until they had somebody in the waiting. Like it would be like, oh, so much easier to break up when you got someone there, isn't it? But that's
Yeah,
almost kind of the thought of the job, right? Like look for one before you're ready to go
right.
and get yourself aligned and just see what's out there. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely easier to find a job if you already have a job, if you're
Mhm.
lucky enough to already have a job. Employers, for whatever ridiculous reason, prefer to hire people that are already working, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but that's just their preference. So if you're
Right.
in a position where you have a job, it's best to stay if you can. Um, and if you don't, then take the time to really figure out what it is you want to do so that you have that satisfaction with your career choice, and you can make sure you're going to have that work-life balance if you are raising young children and have a lot of other responsibilities at home.
I love it. All right, Shelley, words of wisdom. Top three, there are three things that you think if someone is considering a career change, an absolute shift, what three things should they have in mind, or what next steps do you think would help guide them?
So they really need to know themselves. Um, they can work with a career coach. There are some free assessments out there online. So really know yourself. And I would say think about how you're going to market yourself because job searching really is, it's an activity, a marketing activity. You have your
Mhm.
resume, your LinkedIn that should be optimized. So think about that personal branding aspect of it. And make sure that you have a resume that's respectable in whatever way possible. I mean, even if you're a stay-at-home mom, you do have transferable skills. So really think about what are those transferable skills and how do I best communicate that on my resume, on my LinkedIn profile. So I would say those are my three biggest tips.
Love it. And how can listeners or people at the podcast will have all of your social media links? What's the easiest way to connect with you?
I would say emailing dreamcatchercareercoaching@gmail.com is probably the easiest. But I do have
Okay.
a website and I am on LinkedIn, Shelly Malley, LinkedIn. So you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn as well.
Okay. For our listeners, that's how you find her. Start at LinkedIn, go from there. For anyone else who might be watching, we will have all of the links in the show notes. Shelley, thank you so much for spending time with us. I really, really appreciate your candid conversation.
Oh, thank you so much, Donna. It was great to be here.
Thanks.